Hi, welcome to the Crafts channel. My name's Corinne Brad and I've got another great patchwork project for you today to make a sort of semi-checkerboard design, which, you know, one of my favourite things is it looks really complicated, but it's very, very easy, and it's just made from squares of fabric, some of which you sew into half square triangles, some of which you sew into like a Battenberg cake design. So I will show you exactly how easy it is. You need squares of plain and squares of patterned fabric, because what makes this design great is the negative space that you have amongst the pattern. Now these squares are about 4 3/4 inches because I cut them metric, so sorry for you, but they can be any size you like, just as long as they're all the same size. And what you need to do is, with half of them, you need to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner, and with the other half you need to draw a horizontal line from side to side straight across the middle. You place the whites right sides together with your patterned fabric, and then what you do is you sew either side of your drawn lines. Now with the diagonals, because you're just doing one seam, you want to give them your normal 5mm or 1/4 inch seam allowance. Sew down one side, oh, you don't actually need to cut the thread, just give yourself a bit of play before you turn it around and sew down the other side. Like so. And then, as you would normally do with half square triangles, is just cut along that drawn line. And then press or finger press. Oh, actually I've got my little seam presser. So press the seam to the darker side of the fabric. It's not imperative that you do that, but when you're making up the quilt, it's quite nice to not see that seam allowance inside your pale area. So there you've got your 2 half square triangles. And then with this block, you again sew tram lines either side of the drawn line, but use a scant seam allowance. The reason being is, obviously the more seams you put in a block, the smaller it shrinks up. And if you want to make your blocks exactly the same size, it's a lot easier to trim down this Battenberg block than it is to trim down your half square triangle one. Trim it. Cut it down the middle. And again press your seam towards the darker side of the fabric. I keep forgetting I've got this little seam roller. It's really good, and I've no idea what, oh, it's a Clover one, that's where I got it from. So now you've got your 2 bi-coloured squares. What you need to do is put them right sides together, but again, plain on patterned, plain on patterned. And line up that centre seam. Let's just pop a pin in there. And then you draw a line right down the middle of that fabric. So that is about there. I hope that's the middle, because if not, when I come to take this apart, it's going to be the wrong size. So I've not been strict with the measurements because, again, like this block, you can make it any size you like. And again, sew that scant seam allowance Down one side. And back down the other. Cut along the line. And then keep your fingers crossed that actually it's worked. So when you open it up, you have your lovely little Battenberg. And the reason I said about doing a scant seam allowance is I don't know why I can't do it. I, for some reason, can never get it quite right. So I am just going to trim off this excess bit of fabric to square up my block. For some reason my projects always end up about 20% smaller than they should be. This is the reason why. So, 2 Battenbergs, 2 half square triangles, and then what you need to do is you take, I have to think about this, take a half square triangle so that your pattern is in the top right hand corner. Take a Battenberg so your pattern is in the top left hand corner. That's my air traffic control demonstration there. And sew them together. And you can use your normal seam allowance on this now. Okay, so pattern top right, pattern top left, sew them together. And it's quite nice with these quilts because obviously you've got a whole piece of fabric there. You don't have to worry quite so much about seam matching in the middle. So you have your second one. So you've got your pairs of squares that are all the same way. And what you need to do is flip one of them round so that you have a line of small squares running across the middle. Just check that centre seam there. Pop a pin in it just to keep it in place. And then once you've got your 4 square blocks, if you grab some more 4 square blocks and you can pop them together to make a large square in the centre. I'm just going to sew these 2 together to complete that square so you can see what I mean. Like so. I'm not going to sew all these together. You get the general gist of this. So as you build it up and as you build up around the pattern, you can then keep adding to it, like this one. So you've got your centre square here, with lots of odd bits of fabric, and then just add more blocks of, 16 squares there are in each block. Add them together to build up the design. And I didn't have time to make a sample of a full-size quilt, but when you see this in its entirety as, a repeat pattern, it looks absolutely fantastic. And actually this is going to be my next big quilt project because it's very easy to do and it looks really effective. And again, it's that use of the white fabric or the negative space that really makes the pattern stand out. So I hope you like that quilting patchwork tutorial. As I say, with any quilt, what you would then do is once you've made your quilt top, give it a good iron, layer it up with backing fabric and wadding, top stitch it together, bind it. Very, very simple to make. So I hope you enjoyed that demonstration. I hope that's inspired you to get your sewing machine out again and do some more, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. If you've been inspired to create, please share your makes with us in the comments section below. And if you've enjoyed videos by the Crafts channel, hit the like button. Want to see more of us? Then click subscribe. See you next time.